Hello and welcome to a new episode on Untold Chapters of Mongol History. As we recall, Dr. Ottenbayer, we left deliberately one story behind when we talked about Subitabatr. And that part was about a battle he fought in 1211 within, I think, the campaign on the first raid on Jin Dynasty. And you think that this is an untold story. Why do you think we have to tell this story about this battle?
Well, it is interesting that the Battle of Yehulin Pass, which actually decided the fate of Jin Dynasty, in general East Asia, in general world, because the most capable military against the Mongols were Jurchen cavalry of Jin Dynasty, and without defeating them, probably Mongols would not start their expansion westwards.
Because they wanted to secure peace, or at least some tranquility on eastern frontiers of the empire.
Well, first of all, it is more about revenge than peace, because Mongols had a really feeling of revenge toward the Jurchen dynasty. Chechens, well, a lot of people misunderstand that Jin dynasty is a Chinese dynasty. But Qin dynasty is a dynasty which has been created by semi-nomadic people from the Manchuria steppes, Churchens, later Manchus. And about 1140s, Jurchens defeated Liao dynasty, founded by Khitans, people of Mongol origin, and created their own dynasty. And while creating Jin dynasty, they inherited traditional policy of Chinese dynasties to use nomads against the nomads. So as a result of these policies, I think we have mentioned the story of Hanbagay Khan in our previous episodes. Every 3 to 5 years, they led invasion into the Great Steppes to kill every male and to enslave female and children. And that's why the Mongols had a grudge against the Jin dynasty, and Genghis Khan understood very well that in case if he wants, the great Mongol Empire to succeed, he has to defeat the Jin dynasty first. And in this story, actually, the Battle of Yehulin Pass was the decisive victory of Mongols over the Jin Empire, basically annihilating their professional military. Of course, Jin fought with Mongols for another 23 years after the Yehulin Pass, but it was basically local battles that they fought after Yehulin Pass.
Okay, so before we start the Ungindawani Tolang, or the Yehulin Pass or Wild Fox Pass battle, let's also think of what was happening on the eastern frontiers. Mongolians also were fighting against Tanguds.
Yes.
So basically, we were fighting two wars at two fronts.
In order to understand actually what was happening in that period, we have to imagine what kind of political situation was in East Asia during that time. As you can see, well, that's the Great Mongol Empire, and that's the Tangut Empire of Xixia, and this is Jin Dynasty. And in the south, behind the river of Yangtze, that's the Southern Sung Dynasty. And of course, Korea, the Korea Dynasty in Dali That's a small southern Chinese state. So what Genghis Khan did, he prepared his battle against Jin dynasty very carefully. That we can see from wars Mongols fought before the invasion into Jin. First, 1206, Genghis Khan was proclaimed as Great Khan of Mongols, and in 1207 and from 1207 to 1211, his elder son Jochi, he started subjugating the forest tribes to the north of Mongolia. Oirats, Horitomats, Buryats, Tubas, Habhanas, Hakas, and all these tribes. So basically, he was securing his northern frontier in case of big war with Jin dynasty. There is no enemy behind his back. And in 1207, he starts inroading into the Tangut dynasty of Sisya. Again, a lot of historians, they say that he did so because it was kind of preparation of invasion into Jin. It was his first inroad into the sedentary civilization. I don't think that he was doing the training of his armies. I think his interest in a war with Tanguts was primarily economic, because the Great Silk Road was going in the southern end of Gobi Desert through Tangut territory, going into the Uyghur territory, and then heading to Central Asia. So he wanted to take a control of the Great Silk Road, because it's, again, a lot of money. And, from historical documents, we can see that there has been a lot of Uyghur traders who assisted Genghis Khan, obviously financed his campaigns. So these Uyghur traders were definitely interested in the control of the Silk Road. And second interest might be that at the time of invasion of Jin, he wanted Sisya Tanguts, to be unable to assist Jin. So basically, from 1206 to 1211, for 5 years, he was securing his northern frontier. He was securing his western frontiers, and Uyghurs. Uyghurs recognized his supremacy, and then Karluks recognized his supremacy. So his western frontier was secure.
So there was no alliance between Qing and Sisya?
That was kind of uneasy relationship. At times they were supporting each other. At times they were fighting each other. So
they were not very much friendly.
They were not very much friendly.
Which is good for us.
Yes, yes. And so Jin considered Mongols to be their vassals. It's again very traditional Chinese way of thinking, that all the barbarians, northern barbarians, are vassals of Jin. So basically they trade with Mongols. They were treating as Mongols came to pay their tribute. Of course, the goods that they've been giving to Mongols as payment for their cattle, horses. Jin was saying that, well, it's a gift of the great emperor, in return of the tribute that vassals have offered.
It's a big insult
yes,
for Mongols.
Yes. And in 1208, the Jin Emperor Jianzong died. And there has been a brief period of the fight for the throne. And one of the sons of Jianzong, Wanyan Yunji, has become the emperor. Wanyan Yunji was well known two Mongols. Well, that's his portrait in one of the Chinese books. He was sent as an emissary to the Great Steppe over a few times. And, well, if you remember, in 1201, Genghis Khan, together with great Wang Han, defeated the Tatars in support of the Jing invasion. And Jing commander Wanyan Chenxing has referred the title of Jiaoturi to Genghis Khan.
Yes.
Jiaoturi is actually, there is no explanation of this word in Mongolian annals. I believe that Jiaoturi basically means Lord of the land. Okay, so in one of his trips to Great Steppe, Wanyan Yunji called Genghis Khan as Jiaoturi. That
local lord.
That was really an insult. So in 1210, the emissaries from Jing came to Genghis Khan and demanded that Genghis Khan would receive imperial decree on the knee. And Genghis Khan said, well, I've heard that Jing emperor is the son of the heathen. But how can this Wanyan Yunji, this guy, could be son of heathen? You know, I better be son of heathen than him. So it was direct insult again from the Genghis Khan. So, well, this way war became inevitable between the two countries. So in 1211, Genghis Khan created a Kurultai and decided to declare war on Jing, which all the Mongol tribes received very well. The reason being, well, earlier, all the Mongol tribes, they were not united, so there was always a possibility to go with war on your neighbor and to loot something, etc. But now it's one country. You cannot go and loot your neighbor. And you had to have, to an enemy to go with war. So Jing, of course, very rich Chinese territories were really, really lucrative aim for the Mongols. So in that same year, Genghis Khan has sent in emissaries to Ongut tribe. Ongut tribe was a vassal tribe of Jing, basically, defending the Great Wall. And Onguts became ally of Mongols because Genghis Khan gave his daughter Alhaibeki as a queen to Ongut ruler. Onguts became ally of Mongols. So that way Genghis Khan knew everything about the Great China Wall. Okay, because your border security force is now with the enemy. So, and we can see now how the war went. Okay.
So these are Mongolian troops advancing to
Manchuria. Heading toward the Jing, and I'm just waiting for the map to appear. There is a map, and by the way, it's a documentary made by channel Kings and Generals. Okay, so now we see basically the Mongol Empire in Jing, and here is Song, southern Song. So the major aim, of course, is Beijing, but it was not called Beijing at that time, it was called Jundu. And Genghis Khan and Great China Wall was going this way. So Genghis Khan entered from the western end of Great China Wall, probably not really well guarded. So you can see they entered into the western part. And here we can see the great strategy that Genghis Khan had. Of course, Jing had their forces guarding the Great China Wall, and also they had main forces on this mountain range, which is called Wild Fox Range or Yehulin Range. So by entering from the western end of the Great China Wall into the valley before the Yehulin Pass, Genghis Khan basically divided Jing army, cut into two pieces. It was really difficult for Jing to face Mongolians in open field. So actually, it is estimated that Genghis Khan mobilized around 110,000 soldiers that time. That's all the numbers plus they realized like Mongols. Whereas in the northern border, Jing kept an army about 450,000.
4 times larger.
4 times larger. In the south, they had 600,000. There was still war going on with Southern Song in Jing. But on the north, they were...
Huge army.
Yes. Actually, the population of Jing that period is estimated to be 48 million. And Mongols total maybe 800,000. But so basically, when he cut the forces of Jing into two, so you may imagine half of your army are locked in the Great China Wall. They cannot go north to Mongolian steppes. They cannot come back to the Yehulin Pass because Mongols are occupying the valley. That's
but they're still outnumbering, 4 times larger than Mongol troops.
Yes. They actually occupied that part already by May 1211, and Genghis Khan was staying there for a while to find out where are the Jing forces, how strong they are, how organized they are. In between, Ugude, his son, went to the Datong, western capital of Jing, to conquer the Datong. So Jing's strategy was to keep the main army on the way to Jundu, on this Yehulin range. And the major mistake, obviously, that Jing did was they again divided the armies to station them on the different passes. If your soldiers on one pass is engaged, the soldiers on the next pass would not know. So that was the mistake they have made. So obviously there were Tangut regiments together with the Mongols, because the Tanguts were defeated by the Mongols, and they were sending their troops with the Mongols in their war. And Tangut commander Tsagang, actually his Tangut name was Ide. I think Mongols gave him a name Tsagang. Probably he was a white-faced guy. So he sent the Tangut regiment to find out, on reconnaissance mission to find out, how strong our forces on the passes, etc. So when Tsagang came back to Genghis Khan to report, what he found out, Muhali, the main commander of the Mongol army, he told to Genghis Khan that, well, we have to fight with them despite the losses that we might face. Muhali basically said, if we don't defeat them, there is another 600,000 strong army in the south, which may come to us, and we will be losing our battle, and that will be the end of the empire. So we have to sustain the losses. Despite the losses, we have to fight with them. That's what he said. And in June, Genghis Khan sent Jibe and Subedi to attack the fortress of Ushabao, where Jing chief minister Dushan Sijun was with the 30,000 strong force at the fortress of Ushabal. First of all, it's a Mongol tactic, which is called to take out the herd. So you have to attack the commander first, so that the enemy army would be deprived of general command. And secondly, by conquering Ushabal, you can also make round of the Wild Fox range and come out from behind of the Jing forces at Wild Fox range. That was the strategy that was done. And
they defeated
and killed the chief minister. And
chief minister or chief commander?
Chief minister. You see, the peculiarity of Chinese or Jing military of that time was, of course, you have generals, but above the generals are usually politicians, government. So the chief minister was appointed here to make sure that Mongols would not go through the Yehulin Pass. And immediately Jing appointed new chief minister, Wanyang Chunxi, to command the forces at the Yehulin Pass.
Chief minister is not prime minister.
It is.
Ah, I see.
It is. Only thing is that at that period, you might have 2 chief ministers, 3 chief ministers, depending how you are ruling your country. Your country may be divided into 2 regions and a point. For example, Mongols at the beginning used to have 2. Chengsang is chief minister. So you have Western Chengsang and Eastern Chengsang.
They had also the military power?
They had also
the government,
power.
Administrative and military.
Yes. And then Genghis Khan decided to approach the Yehulin Pass. So when he found out that the newly appointed Jing chief minister was at the pass,
the same guy who told him to, no,
that guy is emperor.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, that guy is emperor. So Muhali, his chief commander at the first stage of the battle against Jing, Muhali himself personally led a Bali military unit. Bali military unit was a military unit or death squad of Mongol army. If you have done some kind of offensive which might be penalized by death, then you are transferred to the Bali unit, and you have to have some kind of heroic deed. So in order to forgive you in the return to the regular military unit. So Muhali was heading the death squad into the Bajar's Mouth. There is a pass called Bajar's Mouth, and they actually passed through the Bajar's Mouth to come into the camp of the Jing chief minister. And you see, when Jing dispersed their forces between the different passes, it created a possibility for Mongols to have numerical superiority at one point. So basically, they created numerical superiority at the Bajar's Mouth and defeated the Jing unit at the pass and entered into the camp of Jing chief minister. Chief minister had to run away, leaving all his forces without command. Of course, Jin sent an emissary to the different units at the different passes that Mongols are attacking on the Bajar's Mouth, and all the other units started to come in support of the unit at that pass, which represented a very good opportunity for the Mongols to defeat them one by one, because they would be coming in different time frame, which would again allow Mongols to have numerical superiority at any given time. Yeah. That's uh, that is actually the, well, again, Jebe and Subedev went through the Ushabao on the behind the Jing lines, and it when we see the story of the battle, in addition to the mistake that they dispersed their forces, they also used their cavalry, well, I would say unwisely, because they put the cavalry surrounding the infantry. That shows that Jing did not trust their infantry, which was basically Chinese, basically untrained soldiers, former peasants. So they surrounded with their Khitan and Jurchen cavalry, all the infantry, and that created another problem, because cavalry units are well supposed to have a fast maneuvers, and supposed to be mobile. But when you are tied to your infantry, they lost their mobility. Whereas Mongol cavalry, well, Mongol army always had no infantry all the time, so Mongol cavalry had the mobility, and they have been
able. So we never had infantry.
Later, during the Yuan Empire, of course, we had Chinese. We had Chinese infantry, but at this time, when Mongols first invaded into Jing, we did not have infantry. Also, Jing had additional force of 150,000 under the command of Wanyan Hushahu, which was coming to support the military, Jing military at Yehulin Pass. But first of all, they were late. They came much later than Battle of Bajirmao was fought. And Wanyan Hushahu, when he found out that Mongols defeated their main force, he started running away from the battleground. And the Chinese historical sources say that one of the local commanders suggested Wanyan Hushahu to fight with the Mongols using their knowledge of the local geography, and Wanyan Hushahu, he did not accept that, and he decided to retreat back to...
Why? But he still had 150,000, whereas Mongols, through all of this, battles, they are now less than 100,000.
Yeah, but Mongols defeated 450,000 strong soldiers, so probably he was mentally already defeated, Wanyan Hushahu. Probably he thought that if Wanyan Chensi with 450,000 was defeated, his 150,000 is nothing to stand against the Mongols. That's probably his way of thinking. So here we see quite interesting part of the story. Jebe and Subede, when they appeared at the rear of Jing army, they used feigned retreat to back to Ushabao, luring Qing cavalry
to follow them
after them. So half of the cavalry chasing after Jebe and Subede, the lines of the main infantry was open. That was interesting military tactics,
which later they used at Khwarezmian War. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Well, feigned retreat is actually very popular tactics. Was very popular
for any army, or just
for Mongols. For Mongols. Yeah.
Oh, that's why they don't have this dignity. They run away. Yeah. I see.
Yeah. Because you see, for the Mongols, battleground is not the line. For the Mongols, battleground is a big piece of land where you can use your mobility, you can retreat, or maybe in order to make a round of your enemy, etc. Whereas in sedentary societies, battleground is line. Great China Wall, Yehulin Pass. So you have to stand the ground until your death. That's the psychology of the sedentary societies, because you have the city to defend with.
So it's
Whereas in
actually
Mongolia, you don't have a city to defend. You can just, when the enemy invades, you can just run away from the enemy, and in order to stretch the enemy supply lines, and then hit back.
Was this understood at that time by the generals of, say, sedentary states? Like, wouldn't they think of it like the way Mongols do wars is different than ours?
Yes, and it is interesting that in most of the cases, in the beginning stage of the war with Qing, Mongols used a feigned retreat in order either to lure the enemy into the wrong direction, or when they siege the city, then they use again feigned retreat in order the city defenders to come out and chase after them, and to have a battle in the open field. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that was actually when you see the Battle of Yehulin Pass is important in the sense that basically Jing professional military was annihilated at Yehulin Pass. Of course, Jing would last another 23 years. They would mobilize more hundreds, thousands soldiers. But again, if you don't have a professional officers, your army is worth nothing, because your peasants who are not used to, well, now you can see that again, they're approaching from the west of the Jing. Great China Wall in order to come to this.
But at Great China Wall, they Jing still have their troops stationed, defending or guarding.
Yes, yeah. But
That's a huge
that's useless.
Useless,
because you see, maybe these troops are good at the wall, but when the battle is fought at the open field, these troops are useless. One interesting thing is that, well, that's really a battle of epic size. When you have, well, two armies together is around 560, 80,000 people fighting in this small pass in Yehulin, and somehow it is omitted from the world history.
Why?
What? That's the interesting part of it.
Because Mongols are not interested in this, and if Chinese are interested...
No, you see, for example, if you read Secret History of Mongols, or main source of Mongolian history, main Mongolian source of our history, is that Secret History of Mongols has only one sentence about the Yehulin Pass, that in a year of sheep, Genghis Khan decided to go on war with Chinese, and he moved and passed the Yehulin.
Simply passed.
Yeah, that's the only. Of course, in later books like Yuanxi or Qinxi, you will have more detailed information how this war was fought, and etc. But for example, a lot of the Westerners refer, for example, the Battle of Catalan Valley, which was fought between Han leader Attila and Roman Aitzi. Well, if you see the story of the Battle of Catalan, and they refer it as a Battle of Nations.
How many soldiers fought there?
Well, around 50,000 on the Roman side and 20,000 on Han side.
Altogether 70,000.
Altogether
70,000. Whereas this is 700,000. Almost.
600,000. So, I mean, That's something that is really difficult to explain.
Yes.
In the Battle of the Catalan, when everybody say, "Oh, that's the Battle of Nations," in the Battle of Catalan did not decide anything. Maybe it was important for the Western history in the sense that Attila could not defeat Romans, but Attila was not defeated too. Okay, that's a very undecisive battle. Whereas here, by annihilating Jin professional military army, Genghis Khan opened the gates of Chengdu or Beijing, the capital city, and Genghis Khan basically defeated the major military force in the world, I would say.
In the world until today.
Yeah.
In the history.
Well, until maybe to the modern period when you have this millions worth armies. At medieval time, during the medieval time, 500,000 strong military is something unimaginable. Something unimaginable. In Europe, battles were fought between 10,000s, 20,000s, 30,000s at the most. And if we see the Battle of Nations, 50,000 Romans. Well, not all the Romans, around 30,000 Romans and 20,000 of their allies. And
altogether less than 100,000.
Altogether less than 100,000. So this is really a story that we should retell. Really,
it's a part of Mongol history.
Yeah, and also by defeating Jin military at the Yehulin Pass, well, Genghis Khan, first of all, he opened the door to Jin Empire, and secondly, he obtained the latest military technologies from the Chinese. One thing that we should mention here is that Genghis Khan used the psychological warfare very effectively. When he invaded into Jin, he basically started a propaganda campaign. He told the Khitans that, well, Jin annihilated your empire, Liao Empire. So we came in revenge for that. So you will see after the Yehulin Pass, a lot of Khitanese defect on the Mongolian side. Well, earlier during the creation of the empire, you had Khitanese commanders, Khitan commanders such as Yilu Duhua, Yilu Ahai, and then after the invasion, you will see the Shimo Mingung, who later sieged Beijing, laid the siege of Beijing, and then
Yilu Chucai comes from this period.
Yilu Chucai comes much later.
Later, but he's Khitan.
Yes, he's a Khitan.
Khitan or Jurchen?
Khitan.
Khitan.
He is actually from the descendant of the ruling Khitan family. Yilu is ruling Khitan family. So, and secondly, he told to the Chinese that, well, Jin is oppressing you. Jurchens are oppressing you. So we are coming to free you from the oppression. So you will have a lot of Chinese defectors on your side. There is a very fascinating story of Chinese commander Wan Qi, who was defending the Chalu Pass in the Hubei province. So Mongol commander who assaulted the Chalu Pass, he was surprised by stiff resistance that Wan Qi offered to the attacking Mongols. And after defeating Chinese, he brought Wan Qi and he said, "You're a brave commander, so I can spare your life." And Wan Qi said, "No, I'm a military man and I fought with dignity and I'm ready to die." And the Mongol commander said to Wan Qi that you're a brave soldier and you are seemingly, man with the dignity. You are serving your emperor with dignity, but you have to keep in mind that you're serving wrong emperor. The emperor who is sitting in Jundu, he is not Chinese. He is Churchen. He is the guy who is oppressing you. So you should switch the sides and fight on our side against the Churchens who is oppressing your people. And Wanchi joined the Mongolian military, and he served the Mongol army with almost 20 over years.
Loyal.
Very loyally. So we can name a lot of Chinese. Well, I wouldn't say defectors. A lot of Chinese who would take Mongolian side, because for them, Jurchens were nomads who occupied China. Mongols were another nomads who were coming to occupy China.
So for them, this was an act of betrayal. Were they regarded as traitors?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so, because whether you are fighting on the side of Churchens or on the side of Mongols,
for Chinese, it didn't matter.
It didn't matter. You can name Wanchi, you can name Yin, Shi Tianzi, well, a lot of Shis who served Mongol army in generations with great dedication. So it is again, showing how Genghis Khan was conducting psychological warfare. So after the Yehulin Pass, and after when Genghis Khan occupied Jundu, northern capital of Jing, Genghis Khan goes back to the Mongolian steppes, leaving Muhali as commander of Mongol forces in China, and Muhali was given only 21,000 soldiers. And that's why Jing lasted another 20 years, because when you have only 20,000 strong regiment, to conquer whole of China is rather difficult. But
whole of Qing dynasty. It's
whole
not
of
really
Qing
China.
dynasty, yeah. But in Mongolian sources, they write about the Mongolian soldiers who stayed behind with Muhali, but they never mention Chinese and Khitan forces who switched the sides on the Mongol side.
But the fact that Qing stayed for another 20 years, is that only because of the small size of army that Muhali had, or why it took so long?
Well, there were basically different period of war and peace. So actually 1216, after Jundu was occupied by Mongols, Jing Emperor made peace with the Genghis Khan, recognizing himself a vassal of Mongols, agreeing on annual tribute to be paid to the Great Mongol Empire, and plus offering the hand of his daughter to Genghis Khan. It is, to be very frank, it is not well known whether it was true daughter or arranged daughter, etc. But anyway, and
they recognized the supremacy of Genghis Khan.
They recognized the supremacy of Genghis Khan, but it was, it was not really peace, because, and after that period, the problem starts within Jing. Because first of all, remember the general Banyan Hushahu? Well, by defecting from Yehulin Pass, he was...
The chief minister, yeah?
No, the commander of the support force, 150,000 strong.
Who joined later.
Who joined later, and he did not come in support of the forces at the Yehulin Pass. He retreated from the battleground, so he was punishable by death. Realizing this, Wanyan Hushahu comes with his 150,000 strong force to Jundu, kills the emperor, Wanyan Yunji, and installs the different emperor, puppet emperor, etc. So Jing started having their own problems, and that around that time, Jebe and Subedai makes a daring raid to the east of China to city of Mukden, and there Khitans declares their own state, which immediately recognizing superiority of the Mongols, becoming vassal of the Mongols, and then there is an incessant war inside China again, and another Jin general, Banyan Pushi, he created another state in the eastern China. So basically, it was a period,
state building
never
games.
ending. Yes, it was a kind of civil war inside the China with small Mongol corps to help the rebelling states.
So that was the first raid on Jing Dynasty, and after that, after this Fox Pass fight, the Mongols go back.
Main force goes
back. Subedai and Ziv make a round trip around Mukden, annihilating the Khitans and Jing, and then they also go back.
Yes, because Genghis Khan then decided that it was time for a war with Khwarezmian Empire in the West.
1219.
Yeah.
Then, during the third raid to Jing Dynasty, Subedai is also called back.
Yes, that was later after Genghis Khan died. Genghis Khan died in 1227, and this endless war with Jing was continuing.
Yes.
And Mughal died even before the Genghis Khan, and Mongolian army in Jing. Jing was headed by Double Ho Cherbi, who was defeated by Jing generals.
The Poa and Hadaya.
Yes.
Yeah, we spoke about
and then Ugade decided that, well, it's time now for a larger campaign against Jing and really to annihilate Jing. That's why Subedai was called from the western frontiers back to Jing to head Mongol armies into the Jing Empire. That's later story, 1230s. In 1234, when southern capital of Jing, Kaifeng, was taken by Subedai, that's where Jing dynasty really ends.
Interesting. Okay, Ambassador, thank you very much for this story about the battle at Yehulin. And I agree that this is a part of the missing stories from the history of the Mongol Empire, and thank you very much. With this, we bid goodbye to our viewers and see you on our next episode. Thank you.